Welcome everyone. I would like to address the many unsolved mysteries of Jujutsu Kaisen, as well as touch a little bit on the ending of the series and where we could potentially go from here. And I have to say, Jujutsu Kaisen was a great series. It did have some low moments, especially when we heard that Gege was sick and there were some parts that were rushed. And there's more than a few things we didn't get an answer on, but overall, everything considered, it was a really great series. I wouldn't say it's quite a masterpiece, but it's definitely in that S tier. If I'm being honest, I'm still not quite sure what happened with Yuji and Sukuna. Also, there's the mystery of like, why did we see Kenjaku in the second last chapter talking to Takaba? As we know, Takaba is the one guy who has the most ridiculous technique in the series. It was explicitly stated that whatever Takaba thinks is funny, he can bring to reality. I don't know if there are limits to that ability of his, but it's pretty broken. And obviously it's just coping at this point, but he could have brought Gojo back and he's like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I brought Gojo back to life? You know? In this final panel, we see everybody back together and it's really awesome. A lot of characters survived, more than we were led to believe by Gege, because at one point Gege did say that either Yuji survives and everybody else dies or vice versa. But it seems like Yuji and almost everybody else died. No, it seemed like Yuji and almost everybody else survived, and Gojo is actually the one who died, mainly. We never got like actual confirmation on what happened with his body, unless I missed that as well. We saw him giving this message in this chapter to Yuji. A little cryptic the message was as well. However, the thing that was really interesting to me, it said that keep an eye out for Gege Akutami's next work. Is his next work going to be related to Jujutsu Kaisen? Because if it's not, actually, okay, even if his next manga is not about Jujutsu Kaisen, they would still put it out there like keep an eye out for his next work. You have this series that is doing so great, and there's so much material still in the series. I'm not like saying that extend it beyond what you want to make it. You know, like how they sometimes just like stretch it out, they add filler, all this stuff. Like fans never like that. Nobody likes that. But for Jujutsu Kaisen, 207 is pretty short. And there's still a lot of mysteries about like Sukuna being the fallen one, Angel, all that stuff we have no idea about. And this is why I keep saying that I'm pretty confident we're gonna get a Heian era or Heian era series. Another reason is Sukuna went down as the strongest, so he's still a very scary villain. He was never humbled or anything else like that. I would be really excited and hyped for a Heian era series. Like, I personally would not be opposed to that. However, we've been hearing for a while now that Gege is doing something. There's a bunch of people who think that it's gonna be some slice of life kind of thing, and that's what he wanted to do in the start, but apparently it wasn't really like a popular thing to do. So he thought that doing this kind of shonen would be better than some slice of life. But now that he's more established, maybe he thinks he could do a slice of life and actually do well with it. And maybe, why not? There's some good slice of life anime out there. Is he gonna do like some high school thing though? Like just pure high school? That would be interesting. Either way, my prediction is still going to be that it's gonna be something to do with Jujutsu Kaisen. But I've tried to predict Gege and I've been very wrong before, so who knows? At this point, it could be anything. So I guess most of the last chapter is them trying to solve this crime of that guy having large eyes or being cursed. And they finally catch the guy who's been emitting this curse to this guy. And when they get to him, Yuji and Nobara end up getting cursed as well, and then they end up having those huge eyes. And Megumi is the one who finally catches him. By the way, what is Megumi's mission with Hana? I don't know. Is it just me or is there still so much mystery in the series? Like Yuji's domain? Like, can someone actually tell me if we know what Yuji's domain is? So anyway, they finally catch this guy and he's raging. He's like, you bitch. Who do you think bought you that bag? I can't lie, I was not very interested in them solving this crime, even though it is the last chapter. But in the end, it seems like Yuji ends up feeling bad for the guy, and then he gives him the same advice that Gojo gave to Yuji. And these were apparently Gojo's final words to you. Not final words, but some of the advice that Gojo gave that really stuck out to Yuji. We all kind of knew somehow that in this final chapter we're gonna see something about Gojo. I don't know, he's the most legendary character in the series, and even the main character looks up to him like a legend. Why did Gege have to do it to us? Make him the second strongest of all time behind Sukuna. I think a draw between Sukuna and Gojo would have been perfect. Perfect. And if you're gonna have Gojo lose, at least keep his legend intact by saying that, oh, you know, at least if Sukuna doesn't have the 10 shadows, who knows what could have happened. Gojo might have had the upper hand, you know, who knows. I mean, I understood the need to have everybody else shine. You couldn't have Gojo be the one to defeat Sukuna. I'm the biggest Gojo fan, but even I would have thought that's a little weird, if I'm being honest. Because as the fight was going on, and it was going on for so long, I was like, really? Is Gojo actually going to do it? And like, it made no sense. Not to mention the fact that the fight took place before Yuji, Kashimo, and everybody else had the chance to interact with Sukuna. So Gojo literally could not win. And that was one of the mistakes I thought Gege made. He kind of made it obvious that what was going to happen, narratively speaking. However, it's possible that Sukuna could have just been that guy who was never meant to be surpassed. It's just unfortunate that he ended up being evil. Although in the end of this chapter, we did see like a different side of Sukuna, a different face of Sukuna, which was very, very fascinating to me. I didn't think Sukuna was capable of thinking that way. But to be fair, Sukuna is a really profound guy. It's just that he doesn't care about anything else or anyone else. And some people seem to admire that, interestingly. But regardless, I would have been interesting to see him in his prime. You know, they teased it. Like, that was one of the coldest lines in Jujutsu Kaisen. Along with Gojo saying I'd win, if he actually did win, you know. That's the kind of thing that if it was real life and someone says that, it's just legendary. So yeah, that, and also Uraume saying you guys are just lucky to be born 1,000 years too late. Something along those lines. It gave an impression that Sukuna in his prime was something to behold, and something completely different. So I don't even know how to estimate like how many more times more powerful than he is now, if that makes any sense. But that was a really, really interesting remark to me. Him in his real prime against Gojo would have been very, very fascinating, without the 10 shadows or any of that stuff, without the controversy, if you will. The 6 eyes are like a constant of nature. It was said in the series that in every era or every time, there always has to be someone with the 6 eyes, if I understood correctly. And every time a 6 eyes user dies, a new person with the 6 eyes will be born, and there can only be one person with the 6 eyes. So that means that the very universe is keeping track of the 6 eyes. So it's like a constant of nature, like the speed of light, gravity, magnetism. So it's literally a constant of nature. Did Sukuna ever say that Gojo is the strongest person he ever fought? I still don't remember if he did say that. It was really cool to see words between Sukuna and Mahito, the most despicable person in the entire series, if you ask me. To be fair, who is that person standing next to Sukuna? It seems like Uraume, very obviously. Don't know what... There's Uraume and another girl. I can't tell if that girl is Sukuna's mother or the woman who was obsessed with Sukuna. But where are they meeting? It's like, welcome to the path where souls walk on their way down the cycle. Okay, so Mahito's the one saying this, if I understand correctly, because his technique messes with the soul. So is Mahito just going to be eternal there? And I've seen a lot of people speculating that Mahito would get like an insane power up, and he would become like this legendary calamity level villain that he was kind of meant to be. A lot of people thought that Mahito had that kind of potential. So if his soul powers and everything finally manifests at its full extent, he could even have the power to bring people whose souls is messed with back to life as his soldiers. So he's able to like somehow bring Sukuna back if Sukuna died. I'm still not clear on that. Like, imagine having Sukuna there under his control kind of, and imagine them clashing and Sukuna like somehow breaking the curse and not allowing Mahito to control him. There was a lot more potential and uniqueness for a curse that is born for humanity's hatred or fear of each other, or itself. I'm not quite sure exactly what it was. But yeah, so these are my thoughts on the end of Jujutsu Kaisen. There's still a few interesting things in this series I want to talk about. But for now, either way, this is where I end the video. Thanks for watching. Please drop a sub or a like if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.